Good day, everyone. We are now here in DepEd ETULAY Live. Andito po uli ang inyong Tutor Allan Adem for the episode in Philippine Politics and Governance. And of course, we have the following things to remember. Get ready with your modules and your notes and pens, and of course, focus. So, everyone has to be safe. Diyan lang kayo sa bahay and focus and concentrate on the topics for today, right? So, I have few activities muna. What's in the pictures? I'm going to show you pictures and you are going to identify because these pictures really depict our topic for today. Okay? So, the first picture is, oh, that's something very familiar. That's Malacanang Palace. So Malacanang Palace is the seat of the government of the Philippines by the presidents and of course eventually visitors coming to our country to visit this place as a seat of government. Of course, no, the ambassadors will go there. So this is a figure of authority. Next is, well, this is a flag of the Philippines raised by people. So what does it mean? It means something that has to do with the seat of government and this time with the people. Right? Na-connect nyo na? Oh, ito pa. The third picture is, yes, that's the joint session of the House of Senate and the House of Congress during the SONA or the State of the Nation Address of the President of the Philippines. So these are the lawmakers which makes the laws for the land in order for the people to follow and of course to examine the constitutionality of the different types of laws in our country. So we have the set of government, we have the people, and we have the lawmakers. What does it suggest? Okay, this suggests of our topic for today, and that is the most essential learning competency. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to explain the concept, relationship, and importance of politics, governance, and government. Okay? Yung mga pictures na yun has something to do with our discussion. So yung politics, governance, and the government. So before that, I have an activity for you, true or false. So are you ready? Okay. So identify if the particular statement is true or false. First, politics, government, and governance are modern concepts. Okay? That's false. Because these concepts are as ancient as the ancient Greeks. In fact, this was discussed already during the time of the Republic by Plato. No, in the Acropolis, in the city of heights in the ancient Greeks. Second, the tradition of politics is greatly influenced by the great philosophers. Of course, as I've said, this is true. Okay? Because the Greek people are the ancient champions when it comes to democracy and talking about the goodness of the society and the republic in ancient times. So have you heard the saying the glory that was Greece and the grandeur that was Rome? It's because they are the champions of democracy. Number 3, man by nature is antisocial. Is it true or false? It's false. Because by nature, man is a social being. We need to talk, we communicate with our friends or other people, either in social media or in personal, face-to-face, in our classmates. We are social individuals, not antisocial. Okay? Now, politics, governance, and government are the topics that we are going to discuss. So, Aristotle, who is considered the father of political science, once said, man is by nature a political animal. Individuals are naturally social, unlike other species, You must rely on social interactions in order to survive. So Plato says the individual is a political animal. We discuss views, different views. We discuss what is right and wrong, and we communicate, we interact. This is in order for us to thrive. So therefore, politics is life in those times and even until now. Okay? Now, individuals are self-sufficient, are not self-sufficient, rather, and they find the need to grow up together as a community. So therefore, no one is an island. We need somebody in order for us to thrive. Gusto nyo ba kayo lang mag-isa? So politics cannot happen only for one individual. It can happen because of people, our community. And we need to sustain and the help of each other. And it is through these social interactions that politics emerges. Dyan nanggaling. So politics originated from ancient Greek word polis, which means city-state. So it is the art and science of governments. Yung paggogobyerno ay isa diyang art and science. And that's what we call the word polis means, the city-state. No? I will show you these pictures. Metropolis and Acropolis. Sounds familiar, right? Because may say, yan, metropolis yan, ito. This picture on the left is the skyscrapers of Cebu at night. And this means a metropolis of Cebu, gaya din na Manila, no? Maynila, no? You can see many skyscrapers which depicts a society that is modern, and that is metro, meaning kampang-kalahatan, and polis, that is the city-state. Na meron naman tayong Acropolis. So, yan, ancient Greece yan. Doon sila Plato at Socrates at Aristotle. They talk with people in these Parthenons and they talk about philosophies. And this is what we call Acropolis. Acro means height, polis means the city-state. This is the city on heights. So according to Plato and Aristotle, there are central concepts in politics. And we have number one, the concept of justice. This means what and who is morally and politically right. So in politics, it is a central and essential concept to discuss what is right and what is wrong. That's why we talk about legislations that is good for the people and not good for the people. And we punish those people who are bad. And those laws protects us. And that's justice, right? And the concept of power. The concept of power is the source of authority. And power emanates from the people, like democracy. And the third is the concept on the right types of constitutions and governments. These are the different types of governments and states. So, meron tayong different types of government. Democratic government, we have parliamentary form of government, we have monarchy government, and of course, we have federal government and communist government, right? They have types and forms of government. And the fourth is the concepts of political structure. So this means the different ideologies in a state. So we believe that in politics, it is normal to have different ideologies by means of the party system. These are normal structures, and no two individuals are exactly alike in our opinions, and we might have different views of reality. And that is part of the politics. And fifth, the concept on the right and virtuous leadership. That who should lead in a certain political system, may it be a president, a king or queen, or a prime minister, or a premier. This is those who are elected and lead the people in a state. Okay? So what therefore is politics? Politics is an activity that involves the interaction of people whose relationship is characterized by conflict and cooperation, and who come together to solve such disagreement through binding solutions. So it means to say, it's normal in politics to have conflict and at the same time we cooperate. Ganun naman talaga yon, no? We have disagreement because we have different views of life. Gaya na makikita niyo ngayon, no? Malapit ang eleksyon, magkakaroon ng bangayan yung ibang mga partido. So it's normal to have conflict as well as cooperation depending upon the situation. That's politics, no? And this, we come together, we gather together to solve disagreement. So, ganun talaga yun. Pag may disagreement, may nagsosolve based on the existing laws of the land. Okay? Which is held as binding to all the inhabitants of the state. So binding yan lahat tayo. Walang more than that, walang under than that. We are equal in the eyes of the law. So pag nagkasala tayo, we can be punished. And if we have done good things, then we can be recognized by the state. And that is politics. Okay? So however, there remains disparities in politics. Ganun naman talaga yon. So who stays in power are those who can do whatever imposed in the law, and they are being given this according to the supreme law of the land. Okay? So, what is political science? Political science is a social science discipline that studies the state and the government. So, these are the two concepts that are being studied in political science. So, as a social science, so it studies with the state, the people in the state, as well as the government on authority. So it is a systematized body of knowledge based on facts which deals with experimentation and observation. So by the meaning itself, political science as a science, it has to be following a systematic body of knowledge. So this means factual. These are based on observation, but not just observation. This observation must be having a kind of scientific process. There must be a tool in order to identify the phenomena and not just explaining it without facts. So that becomes the politics. Before, the ancient Greeks were just mere philosophy, but now it's becoming more into science. Why? Because it is now systematized based on facts and knowledge and utilizing the tool of experimentation and observation. So what are the importance of politics? Bakit pa? Ano ba importansya ng politics? First, it helps you to know your rights. So, alam ko ano ko yung rights ko kasi nakasaad yan sa konstitusyon. And I have to, you really assert my right. No? I have to protect myself kasi nandoon yung right ko. That's politics. Number two, it clarifies what you believe. Ito ang gagawin ko, yung advocacy mo that clarifies what you believe. And then the third is, it is a living, breathing subject. Bakit? Yung politics naman, araw-araw, kaya nga sinabi ko, araw-araw tayong namumuhay at araw-araw na-experience natin yung politics. And this is a fresh subject, no? Lahat may issue. Ang sabi nila marites, no? So issue, hindi lang marites, no? Yung chismis, but these are facts, no? These are living subjects, and all of us are well affected because this affects everyone. And number four, it helps you to understand our nation's parties. So ano ba yung mga party natin, yung partido natin? O ano ba yung mga groups na sasalihan natin? Yung hindi lamang partido, pati yung mga social movements, no? Ay, gusto ko magtulong sa mga mahihirap. Dito ako sa mga pro-poor advocacy. Ay, gusto ko yung sa agrikultura kasi gusto ko mag-help ng mga agriculture natin. Yung mga kabataan, kaya meron tayong mga movement. Hindi lang yung mga parties, right? So yan, you understand also the nation's parties. And it prepares, number five, it prepares you for adult life. Mind you people, pag sinabi natin politics, ang dami na siguro ninyong gustong maging mga politiko or maging mga political scientist or mga tawag natin mga lawyers. Someday you want to become psychologists and lawyers, then you become. It prepares you towards that future and adult life. We discuss things that are important, that affects us, and things that involves wisdom. No, we need to think, critical thinking. That means it is an adult life. So there are major schools of thought of political science. First is philosophical tradition. Second, the empirical tradition. And third, the scientific tradition. Let's first talk about philosophical tradition. The philosophical tradition, I should say, this is, of course, traditional. Way back in ancient Greece, usually are associated with Plato and Aristotle with this tradition as they asked, what should or ought instead of what is. So, pag sinabing what should, yung kailangan ganito ang gawin mo kasi this is what is the ideal. This is the summum bonum or the ultimate goodness. Sabi pa ng mga philosophers, this must have to be done. This is ought to be done. This you should do, this you should do, this should not do because this is unethical, this is immoral for the republic. That was the old philosophical tradition. The second one, in which politics evolved into, and we get into tradition, is the empirical tradition. Empirical means that the political reality must be impartial and should thus be tested through observation. So the word empirical meaning to say we observe with our phenomenon. With the phenomenon meaning to say yung mga pangyayari sa buhay ng tao. No? When we observe, we use our five senses, our eyes, our ears, okay, and of course, we also use other senses like, yes, even the sense of touch. That's part of observation. That is empirical. And then we seek then, after observation, to analyze and explain what we have experienced and not to offer recommendation as in the philosophical tradition. Kasi yung philosophical tradition, you have to do this, you ought to do this, and that is something different from the empirical. And the third is scientific tradition. So the scientific tradition promotes objective and quantifiable ways of studying politics. So meron na tayong objectivity, may mga tools na tayo, may mga indicators na tayo. So nami-measure yun kasi may objective na. So hindi lang yung feelings, hindi lang yung emotion, hindi lang yung experiences. This time, para din siyang research, di ba? Nagiging objective na tayo, mini-measure na natin siya, quantify na natin. Then this further push with the rise of behaviorism. Okay? Kasi na-detect na natin, na-measure na natin yung behavior ng mga tao through different types of tools. Okay? So what therefore is a state? Kasi na-mention natin yan kanina. The state, according to Professor Garner, the state is a community of persons more or less numerous, permanently occupying a portion of territory, independent from external control, and possessing a government which the great body of inhabitants render habitual obedience. So the meaning of this is that the state is a structure, a community of people that has territory independent from any external forces or authority. And of course, there is a government that is sovereign, and there are inhabitants that render obedience to that particular order within the government. So that means a state. So example of a state is the Philippines. Okay, Philippines is a state. United States of America is a country which has many states. Next, what are the elements of the state? People, territory, government, sovereignty, and recognition. We will tackle this one by one. The first element is people. Of course, people is one of the basic elements of the state. A state can have millions or even billions of people regardless of gender. Just like the Philippines, we have a population of around 110 million and we are increasing. Next, territory. A territory is the scope of land, sea, and air areas or the boundaries where the population of the state resides. So, a territory is subdivided into 3 domains. And these are terrestrial, or we call that one as land or kalupaan, maritime and fluvial, or the water. It can be the freshwater or the sea, and aerial domains or himpapawid. Government is another element of the state. A government is the machinery of the people where their hopes and aspirations are expressed. formulated, and realized. The government is the basic agency of the state to carry its obligation. Next element is sovereignty. Sovereignty is the supreme power to command and enforce obedience. Just like there are types of sovereignty, like monarchy, or led by kings and queens, or it can have a parliamentary procedure, particularly in the other countries, other democratic sovereignty. Just like the Philippines, the sovereignty resides on the people. And lastly is the recognition. Recognition is the process where the state is granted international status, and it can be expressed or implied. Ibig sabihin, the recognition is our international relationship that we are really a sovereign state. Just like the Philippines is a member of United Nations as well as the World Council of Nations. We call that one as United Nations, right? And we also have ASEAN nations, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, in which the Philippines is part of those, as recognized internationally, either implied or expressed. So, what is a government and governance? Pareho lang ba sila? So, government is the group of people with the authority to govern a country or a state, particularly ministry in office, according to the Oxford Dictionary. And it also means by which a society organizes itself and allocates authority in order to accomplish collective goals and provide benefits that the society needs. The government is an agent, in short, and the government is the bridge between the people and, of course, the law. So it is the government that is given to accomplish this goal to the societal needs. And of course, as society, we Filipinos are part of that. Governance. Governance is the process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented. As an institution, it is the government which concretizes the policies and addresses the problems of the state. In consonance with government, governance is the process, while the government is the authority. So therefore, the governance is the act of making decisions. So government utilizes this process in order to make decisions for the people and to the society. So this means the policy making in order to address the problems of the society. So good governance is when the government involves the people in its agenda and in the process, policy making. And governance demands both the political will of the policy, the officials, and the participations of citizens. Ganyan naman talaga. To have a good governance, it has to be led by people who have the will, the political will, and of course, with the participation of the people. Now, we have an activity, okay? So, get ready. This is what we call as what a mess. What a mess, because the words might be jumbled, but you are going to arrange that. So here is the direction. Arrange the jumbled letters to form the word of the correct answer. Are you ready? Okay, let's start. This is an activity that involves the interaction of people whose relationship is characterized by conflict and cooperation, and who come together to solve such disagreement through binding solutions. So what's this word? Rearrange this one. You know? Okay. The answer is politics. So politics, this involves the conflict and resolution. So it is understood that in politics, there is always something to look forward into. Next, this is the process where the state is granted international status that can be implied or expressed. Do you know this one? Okay. Okay, the answer is recognition. Recognition is the process where the state is granted international status that can be implied or expressed. In short, this is one of the elements of a state. Next, number 3, this is a discipline that studies the state and the government. It is a systematized body of knowledge based on facts which deals with experimentation and observation. Medyo mataas to. Do you know this one? Okay, that's correct. It's political science. As a science, politics can now be considered utilizing the systematized body of knowledge and of course with the different tools in order to experiment a phenomena and of course quantify their observation. Number 4, this is the scope of land, sea, and air areas or boundaries where the population of the state resides and divided into 3 domains: the terrestrial or land, maritime and fluvial or water, and aerial domains. What do you call this? Right, it's territory. Territory can be in 3 domains: land, air, and sea. And even the seabed is still under the territory of a state. And this is one of the elements of the state, right? Lastly, this tradition of the schools of thought promotes objective and quantifiable ways of studying politics. Do you recognize this one? Just remember, this is quite lengthy. Okay, the answer is yes, scientific tradition. Because now, politics as a norm or the norms of the society, the political science is already having this method of scientific tradition. Another activity, are you still okay? Okay, get ready. A or I or nay. You know, this is an expression in Europe or in British with Parliament where they say I meaning yes or true, or nay, that is false. So I if the statement is correct, and nay if the statement is incorrect. Are you ready? Okay, let's begin. Politics is the actual process of how humans interact in groups. Is it an I or nay? The answer is I. This is true. Okay, next. Political science is the process by which people try to influence their government using their opinions and ideas. Is it an I or nay? It's nay. It's false. Political science is not being influenced by the government, but it is the government who influences the people, not the other way around. Okay? Next. Political science seeks to study the origin, nature, and functions of the state and government based on systematic knowledge and facts. Is it I or nay? It's I. Yes, it's true. It's correct. Of course, right now the political science is geared into a scientific approach by acknowledging the systematic knowledge and facts. Number 4, politics is always the same to all people in the society. Politics is always the same to all people in the society. Is that an I or nay? That is nay. That is incorrect. Because politics, although politics is universal, but it does not mean each society has the same experience. And it is not the same to all people because politics is dynamic. It keeps on changing depending on the type of community on society and of course the government. Number 5, the last. Politics involves issues, problems, and activities taking place in the society. Is it I or nay? All right, it's I. It's correct. It deals really with problems and activities in our society, and that's the essence of politics. Now, as a form of synthesis, I've mentioned that politics is the set of activities that relate to decision making and policies of a government. Well, government denotes elected people, whereas governance denotes the framework or procedures followed by the government. Before I will leave, let's have some reflections of our discussion. Good governance never depends upon laws, but upon the personal qualities of those who govern. The machinery of the government is always subordinate to the will of those who administer that machinery. The most important element of government, therefore, is the method of choosing leaders. It's according to Frank Herbert. These simple reflections give us an idea that whatever type of government, whatever laws that we have, it could not surpass the one who administer it, and that is the people behind the government. So because of that, people are more important in the process of the politics. In fact, we all need the government to guide us and, of course, to help us meet our needs. But it does not undermine that it is the people that is more important. And even the one who leads the government is part also of that particular politics, wherein when we elect leaders, someday malapit ng eleksyon, we need to know and to identify those that man this government, the machinery, the people behind the machinery is more important than the machinery itself. I hope we get that one. These are my references, and thank you for this. Thank you also for watching. May God bless you. Until next time, dito din sa the same channel, and of course, dito lang sa DepEd ETULAY Live. Bye!